Here's another picture I got with that Sigma 40mm lens I've been talking about the last few weeks, and I don't know if this is a picture I could have only gotten with that lens. I think I could have gotten a very similar picture with another lens. I don't know that there's anything particularly unique about this. I mean, it's sharp. I shot at f1.4. I like the way the background is rendered in this. I like, I don't know, there's like something just sort of smooth and pleasing about the way the background slowly fades away. Although I think you could accomplish roughly that same thing with a different lens. I think the difference between this and shooting this with a 50 is what you see in the scene. A 50, if I used a 50, I would have had to stand a little farther back, or not stand because I was literally had my camera on the floor, but I would have had to position my camera farther back to get this much of the subject in the frame, and then the field of view wouldn't be as wide. So it just would have looked like a fundamentally different picture. I don't think it would feel quite so intimate. Although if you shot this with a wider lens, like a 35, or even something wider, I think it might have been a little too intimate. So I think 40mm is a good focal length for this particular picture. I walk past this scene, well, I wouldn't say every day, every now and then. This is in is it the Noble Research Center? I forget. It's in some building on campus where they do a lot of work with both engineering and biology. And so there's all these metal welded sculptures of insects, and they're kind of cool to look at. Although it's kind of weird to photograph because it's hard to capture what you think you might see in your mind on a phone. And I guess I just mean it. When you walk past these displays, it seems like every one of these would make a great picture. But then you get out your phone or you get out your camera, and I've just learned over time that it's just difficult to frame these sculptures in a way that looks interesting. They just look kind of boring when you photograph them, even though they're really cool to see in person. And I don't know if it's the close proximity to the other things. Like this is right next to several other of these sculptures. In fact, if you were to look to my right as I take this, there's this giant, I think it's like a praying mantis kind of towering over me. So it's just a weird location in terms of photography, despite the interesting subjects that are all right in front of you. And I do think the 40mm lens helped with capturing kind of the what I saw in my mind's eye in this particular photograph. So it was fun to give this a try with a different sort of lens and to be able to shoot at a super wide aperture, 1.4. You could have approximated this with a 1.8 lens, but it wouldn't have looked quite the same. The smoothness of the blurred out background, it just looked really interesting, and I think it looked really good on that lens in a way that I don't know if I would have gotten on another lens. So it was interesting to take this photo, and also a good reminder about where to place myself in my camera. In order to get the shot, I had to literally set my camera on the ground. And not like that's a big deal in and of itself, but just knowing that you have to put your camera in different sorts of positions to get the photo that you're trying to get. It's just a lesson that I think bears repeating, and one I've had to learn several times about moving my camera to a spot that really does make sense for a photo I'm trying to get.